We are live. It is that time. Another Monday. Hello, everybody. Raina, this one's for you, girlfriend. This one's all about Olive. Oh. Welcome. How was everybody's Easter? Everyone have a good... It's kind of weird to say, oh, did you have a good Easter when we're all quarantining? But that means we're safe, right? A man in my church congregation and his entire family have had the virus. Everybody in his family had mild symptoms except for the dad, the man, the husband. He did end up in the hospital. And just hearing him talk about it, it is a brutal, brutal, brutal virus if you get hit hard with it. So stay home, stay safe. He's okay. He's on the mend, but he had a couple weeks of really difficult breathing and on. So good. So let's be safe. We're safe at home, right? Good to have everybody here. So one of the things that I'm going to do is after I film this video, which we're going to talk about color scheme play, specifically talking about Olive for Raina, I'm going to end this live video, and then I'm going to, as soon as this one saves and all that stuff, I'm going to start another one where I talk about my artist journey, similar to the live that I did on Instagram this weekend. So Instagram lives save to your stories and then they disappear after 24 hours. And I had quite a few people tell me they wished, they missed it. They wished they could see it. They wished it was on my YouTube channel. So I am going to basically talk about all that again. If you've seen it, you certainly don't need to stick around for that. But I just thought I would put it, do it again in a format that can be saved. So some people might be interested in seeing my early work and my thoughts on the artistic journey. Okay? Cool beans. Yeah, an uneventful Easter means we're safe, right? So no shame in that. People, sometimes you'll say to people, oh, hey, what's going on? And people are like, nothing much. And I think nothing much is good. Nothing much means nothing bad's happened, right? So there's no shame in nothing much. All right, so Raina's question about she doesn't know what to do with Olive got me thinking about a fun little exercise that I want to challenge you guys to do. And what I want you to do is channel Picasso, because Picasso would take a color and then he would kind of riff off that color for years. His rose period, I think, was 7 years long, and his blue period was 3 years long. So you often hear Picasso saying, oh, tornado warning. Oh my gosh, be safe, you guys. You would often hear, art historians refer to Picasso's blue period and on and on. So if it's good enough for Picasso, it's certainly good enough for us. So Raina, this is going to be your olive period. But I, always say that if you can memorize your color wheel, that would really help your art. And there's no substitute for just playing around. And so that means actually putting it into practice. Now, I have a real color wheel. I've used it when we talked about color, but I can't find it because I didn't put it back on my bulletin board where I usually keep it. So it's in here somewhere. So I opened this book so that I could access a color wheel. This book is by Nita Leland, Confident Color. I like a lot of Nita Leland's books. They're pretty informative. I will again say you will get more out of practical application and out of this exercise than you will from reading a book. Okay, so you actually need to, Barb, it probably is on the floor. But my goal is to vacuum this week, so yeah. Maybe I'll find it. Who knows? All right. So here's kind of a color wheel. What's interesting about this book is she does talk about the other ways of organizing color, because color is often expressed in other illustrations and not just the circle. I mean, we're used to the whole wheel idea, but there are other methods of describing color, which is interesting. And it gets really technical, and it gets to be a lot. So here we are, color wheel, right? So if we're going to play with Olive, what I did is Olive is going to be my star of the show. Okay. Yeah. Trial and error. Exactly. Olive is going to be my star. And then what I did is, for a lot of my acrylics, I pulled out colors that are analogous to green. You know, either different types of green. Ooh, there's some blue stuck on that. Either different types of greens, okay, that I have on my line so far, and then also analogous colors. So if you remember analogous, that means neighbors. So neighbors to green on the color wheel. So neighbors to green on the color wheel, we're gonna talk, you know, neighbors are orangies and yellowies, and then on this side, blues. Okay, so I've got blues here. I've got orangies and yellowies here. Oh, heaven help me. Okay, now this pile over here are my opposites. So the minute you start to travel more than 4 wedges away from your initial color is when you're starting to get into opposite territory. Okay. So over here, we've got purples and reds and even red oranges, okay? So that's gonna be over here. And don't worry about what you have falling specifically into the color wheel. Just group your colors, okay? So I don't know, can you see that I've grouped reds, purples, pinks here, oranges, yellowies here, and then a bunch of my blues and greens here. And I think there's some colors I have that I haven't grabbed, and that's fine. No big whoop, right? So if we're gonna make all of the star of the show, then I'm gonna start with some tags, and I'm just gonna use tags. They're not gessoed. I think it would be so awesome to do this in a journal. It'd be so cool to be like, okay, this is my Olive journal, and then explore Olive in its different incarnations throughout the entire journal. Think how good you would get with color if you did something like that. Okay, so we're going to take maybe, let's see, I might just put out 4 because that's just what's gonna fit right now. And I'm gonna take Olive, and I'm gonna start with Olive on all 4 tags. If you don't want to use tags, you can get a piece of watercolor paper and tear it into quarters. It truly doesn't matter. Don't get caught up in the details. Oh my gosh, I left all these brushes in the water over the weekend. Oh, Dina Wakely. All right, so paintbrush. So I'm going to go ahead and just knock that down. So this is my star. Okay, so this, I think of this also kind of like interior decorators, how they do, you know, if you hire, I've never hired an interior decorator, so but I've watched a lot of HGTV. And how they'll do the little board for you with swatches of the fabric from your couch and your pillows and your wallpaper and your accent color and your paint, and you know, that's kind of what I'm considering this. Okay, considering this as. Boy, that was a dangling participle. Sorry about that. All right, so let's see. We know that neighbors play really well with each other, right? Oh, yay, Kathy, what is that called? So we know that neighbors play really well. So what I'm going to do is on each one of these, I'm going to put a different neighbor. So one of them I'm going to put Sky. One, let's see, I grabbed Ocean. Oh, hello. Must have taken the tip out of that one at some point. One I'm going to put Mineral. And what do I have left? I have Peacock. And then I'm going to put, just for kicks, up here at the top, I'm going to do another version of green. So, and I don't have that many greens yet in my line. I definitely need more greens for sure. So maybe just 3 will have more greens. So this is Sky, Ocean, Mineral, and Peacock. And this is Aloe, Lime, and Evergreen. And I didn't really think about it. I just was like, okay, that needs that needs a neighbor, and that needs another green. That's how much I thought about it. I love not thinking. Did you know that? Not thinking is the best. All right, so then I'm going to knock these colors down. And you're going to start to get a feel for what you prefer. And what you prefer is going to be not what I prefer. And that's totally fine, right? But isn't it interesting how the lime makes it look so different? Okay. So there we have some play with neighbors. And then you can kind of evaluate it and think, which do I like better? Does this not work because this is a strange, bright color with this, you know, yellow green essentially, and then a pastel. It's just, it becomes like a mix and match play, okay? And then just like an interior designer's mood board would be, I think it's really fun to grab your tiny attacher, Template's tiny attacher, again, one of my most used tools in the entire world. And now I want to put on some of these opposite colors. And so I've got all these tissues left over from demos from the weekend. So one of these is going to get some magenta, because remember, these are now colors that are far away on the color wheel for me from olive. This one's going to get some blackberry. This one's going to get some fuchsia. And I think we need some ruby, some red. I don't even know if I have anything red to staple in. I probably don't, to be fair, so we'll just dot some red on this one. Oh, that's a wet brush. So that's what red will look like. And then we've got some fuchsia. That even, yeah, fuchsia. Oop. And no, I'm not waiting for anything to dry. No, no, no. Not waiting for anything to dry. That would just be too logical. Heaven forbid that I am logical. Let's add some of the other side of the color wheel, or you know, the other neighbors. So we did the blue neighbors. What happens if we now add a little bit of the yellow neighbors? So scissors. This is some yellow neighbor. Notice I'm adding smaller amounts as I go. I'm not doing equal quantities of amounts. Oh boy. Cool. Just so you guys know, my scissors are on the floor. So when you hear me say, "Where are my scissors?" one of you can tell me they're on the floor. So I'm going to look through the Collage Collective to find some yellows. Oh, yeah. Yellow. We're not making a composed composition here, right? We're just playing with the color idea. Here's some lemon. Oh my gosh. Here's some yellow. Good way to use up scraps too, my friends. All right. So you can see how The neighbors are basically supporting the olive, and then those opposites are contrasting with the olive. And then this, you know, if you keep all of these on a ring or in a journal or in a little, I don't know. I mean, you could do a notebook with sheet protectors if you wanted, to give you that feel of which you prefer, or ideas to use with olive. Let's say you've started with olive and you think, well, now what do I want to use? I want it to be nice and mellow. You might choose this one. You want it to be super cuckoo, you know, you might choose the magenta, right? So it just it's a fun way to play. I'm gonna go ahead and flick a neighbor on all of them just for contrast. So I'm flicking turquoise gloss spray. So you guys need to stay. What color is the tiny piece on the left? It is lemon, Fiona. Lemon. Hi, Curdy. Hey, Curdy, I had somebody email me from Australia and ask, who is this Curdy that you're talking about? And so I told her, and she said that she's a fan of yours. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so this just really helps you know how colors interact. You definitely don't like the lime with the olive. It does give it a different look, doesn't it? They're just, the lime is a cool green and the olive is a warm green, and it's jarring, but maybe you want to, maybe that's your point, right? So it just depends on the story that you want to tell. You know, this aloe with the olive mellows it out. The lime is jarring. The evergreen's not terrible, right? And then I love magenta with everything. Okay, so let's set these aside. Let's do a few more. So let's see. Let's start with a different color. Facebook didn't notify you. Sorry about that. All right, let's do fuchsia. Let's see. That is a really wet brush because that's one of the ones I left in the water all weekend. All right, so let's see. Pink and blue. Make purple. So that was ocean. This is eggplant. This is blushing. Okay, and let's do carnation. Carnation is one of the pastels. La, 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 la. So ocean, eggplant. Oop, I'm transferring so I'm not cleaning my brush in between. And carnation. So see how when you jump a couple pie wedges, you're starting to get contrast, whereas if you're keeping pie wedges next to each other, you're getting no contrast, because that's the beauty of working with neighbors, right? Neighbors are easy and calm, but they're just a little boring, right? Right. All right, the opposites of, let's do another supporting color. Let's do some sky, because purple and blue aren't too far apart from each other. Let's do some peacock. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's do some ruby, baby. And some magenta. So basically I'm going on both sides. Do I worry about the paper buckling? I don't. Do not worry about that at all. By the time you glue it in something, it tones down. So yeah, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about anything in art. I have my brain is a hot mess. I worry about lots of other things, but okay, what was that supposed to be? It ended up yellow because I had a dirty brush. I think that was Sky, right? We'll just rub that off with my finger. All right, so are these telling a different story? I think they are. Yeah, they all have the same foundation color. So really that foundation color is your springboard, and then everything that comes next is going to continue the story. This is kind of a calm story. This is start to contrasting. Yes, the boys did get home safely. Thank you. They are fine. Their stuff is everywhere. And that's how it is. All right. Now, the opposite of fuchsia, if you pop around, the opposite is going to be the greens, the olive, the yellows, the cheddars, because we've started on that cool side and now we've popped over. So I'm trying to talk and look for my scissors at the same time. All right, so let's find some greens and cheddars. There's some evergreen. Here's some lime. Ooh, I love that. I love the lime with that. I don't know if I've ever used lime with peacock, fuchsia, and eggplant, but I am way digging that today. You know, because let me lecture at you just for a bit. So we get into color ruts, right? And I'll have people in class say, oh, I've decided to use purple today because I never use purple. And I always tell people, please don't do that in my class. Because if you use colors you don't like, you won't like your finished artwork. So, you know, if you hate purple, there is absolutely no reason why you need to use it. I mean, come on. There's no reason. So if you hate it, that's fine. I understand if you're trying to broaden your horizons and get used to using more colors, that's different. But don't use colors you don't like, number one. And then number two, you get better the more you do. And you can definitely challenge yourself, but there's no shame in using the same colors over and over. Okay, so you might want to go on a little color play like this, and you may end up back to your normal color story. And I personally think that's completely fine. I really do. I don't have any problem with you having a color story. I just feel like maybe that's the signature. I love bright poppy colors, and every now and then I will use earthy colors, but I still probably won't use a lot of them. Okay, I feel like my color story is still magenta and turquoise and ocean. That is just what makes me so incredibly happy. So I always will return back to my color story. So I guess my point is, it's not a rut, it is a story. And there's, for goodness sake, there's no shame in that, I think. All right. So that is what these look like, with a little of the pops, the opposites added. Notice I can't do this and not leave white space. I just can't do it. I'm really digging the lime one, you guys. I'm gonna have to make some art today. Okay, this one I added cheddar and lemon, because purple is opposite of yellow on the color wheel. So we're not doing exact opposites here. We're doing near opposites, okay? But it's just so interesting. This one here has such a different feel than this one, doesn't it? And then this one that has more sky has a different feel than the others too. And so you'll learn a lot about yourself. The other thing that you should do is I think that you should pull out every single paint color you own. So not just from my line, all of it. and then you should swatch them all. Literally swatch everything out and then cut them up. And then that way you'll have the colors that you own. You can do these swatch boards. I mean, you can dig through the Collage Collective, which is what I'm doing, because I know I have all those colors, right? That came from my art. Definitely take the time to swatch what you already have. And I think that will help immensely. And then if you have all of these on a ring, you know, let's say you're feeling stuck one day, you flip through the color ring and you've got a color scheme. I already lost one. You've got a color scheme, you know, ready for you to springboard. So let's make a page with one of these for kicks, right? This one's really speaking to me today. This one, this one, this one. Yeah, this could take a while to find all your paint, right? I understand that. Or, you know, use what's within reach. I once swatched literally all the paint that I had, and that's when I found out I had like 32 tubes of blue paint. Between all the different brands that are out there, I had so many. The base color with the lime was fuchsia. It was fuchsia and eggplant and peacock. So you should also probably write the colors on the back, maybe, because you will forget. So this, you know, this was fuchsia, eggplant, lime, evergreen, and peacock. So, you know, go ahead and keep track of that, because you might think you won't forget, but you will. All right, so let me set these aside. For now, I didn't speckle these. Let's speckle them first. La, 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 la. I came into the studio this morning, and I had left the lids off of two. That seems to be my mode of operation, is at least 2 sprays I leave the lids off. All right, so I'm going to speckle with the contrast color here, cheddar. The great thing about the gloss spray is it will go on and leave this nice dot and it won't react. Not cool? All right, so this is going to be my inspiration. Now, just because I've put the colors on in a certain order here, it doesn't mean I have to do the same order. However, if I change the order, it will change the look, right? And so let me just illustrate that. So I started with fuchsia here, but what happens if I start with lime? Again, nothing bad, but it will have a different look and feel, because now my foundation color is the lime and my accent is going to be those other purpley colors, okay? And peacock is kind of the middle of the road here. Okay, I had peacock at one point because I've obviously used it. Okay, so now instead of starting with fuchsia, I'm doing one where I'm flipping it. Starting with the lime. So there's my peacock mixed with lime because my brush is dirty. And then let's add fuchsia. That's a little dark. Well, that would work for the eggplant, right? Totally different feel already. Isn't that fascinating? Here is some fuchsia. Fuchsia tissue. And you'll have a preference for one or the other, and that's great. So, you know, the order that you put these colors in and the proportion of the color it will make a difference in the finished piece. And you may love this one, you may love this one. It's neither are wrong. They're just different. Okay, so basically everything I put on this is essentially the same. Looks like I need a little bit of evergreen as well. I've just flipped the switch there, right? Flip the switch. I'm gonna make that peacock a little stronger because I did dilute it with the lime there. just to make the contrast pop a little bit. Okay, that makes sense. Interesting, don't you think? I like them both, but I prefer this base. So more homework would be, I love giving homework. More homework would be to make your set and then flip the colors and do a set for an opposite. Would that be, anyway, I could keep you guys busy all day. All right, so this is gonna be my inspiration. Let's see, I don't know if I have pre-gessoed anything. Let's find out. I usually have. Wait. It looks like I've not gessoed, so that's just gonna, we're just gonna proceed. All right, so fuchsia first. Oh, hello. And remember our big brush demo from the other day? I'm just gonna put that big wet brush on there. Using a lot of water because there's no gesso on this foundation, which means the paint's not going to slip and slide around as easily as it would on gesso. It's also going to soak in immediately. Again, it's not a wrong thing or a right thing. It's a personal preference thing. So that's eggplant. So now I want to add that other color that was in my tag. So let me pull the tag back out. For reference, here's my reference tag. Okay, so now I have started with fuchsia and eggplant. Next, I want to move to peacock. And kind of wash that brush-ish. Then again, the nice thing about neighbors, see, I'm getting purple because my peacock, when it reacts with fuchsia, turns purple, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of blue in the peacock. I'm just gonna put some on thicker with my finger because I've got a lot of water floating around there. Okay, so now I need something lime. And at this point, I love to just dig for something I've already done. Oh, look what I found. Guess where it was? It was in my collage papers box. Imagine that. Okay, afterwards, will one of you remind me to go pin this back on my board? All right, so in my collage papers, hi Dawn, in my collage papers basket, I found this. This is lime. If you don't have the right color, then just paint something. But all of that experimentation that we all do, it comes into good, comes in handy when, ooh, Dina. All right, some glue, ultra thick, lime, lime, is it not being dry? Is it driving some of you guys crazy? Lime. Okay, and then it looks like I added some evergreen. I don't know if I'm going to be successful finding some evergreen in that box, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint something evergreen. So this was a tag from another day. Paint some evergreen on that. It'd be really good to get to, well, I was going to say to get together with friends. It really would be good to get together with friends at this point, but until then, like I said, swatch out all your colors and then make yourself a bunch of backgrounds for collage in all of the different colors that you have. So that way you're set for all of your tags and for pages, you know. So like if I'm digging around thinking, oh gosh, I really need something evergreen, because you've gone ahead and pre-made that, you don't have to stop yourself. And that's just a great Netflix thing. So like turn on Netflix, my friends, and then start playing with your colors. Don't think I need to create a finished piece every time you sit down to create. I don't do that. And I know you guys know that, but I'm just reiterating that in case we have new people, new victims. Do I aim for any specific proportion of each color? So I don't aim for a specific proportion. I don't do anything in specifics, but what I do is I start to narrow the focus. So the first color might go on with a quart, and then the second color might go on with a pint, and then the third might go on in a cup, and then an ounce. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I mean, I don't plan much, but I do put less of each color on. So on this side, let's see how it looks if I don't do that. So that would be a background to start with. Would just need a focal point, right? But if I do equal amounts of color, then you're giving up some balance. You might like it better, you know. You might, because who am I to tell you what to do? I can only tell you what I do, and then you have to decide what you do. And that's the great thing about art. There are as many ways to do it as there are hands that do it. And no one is right and no one is wrong. Every now and then somebody will come to class and say, so-and-so says you do that wrong. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But we just have our own ways. So by putting colors on in quantities that are reducing the more you go, what happens is that you get to control the composition with color, right? So instead of just having kind of an all over aura feel, then you have a flow, you have sections of composition, you're guiding the eye, you're not overwhelming, right? Okay, so equal quantities are fine, but you're not going to have that sense of movement and the sense of flow that you'll have if you vary that, right? And you won't have white space, which is my jam. White space is my favorite thing on the planet. Well, no, it isn't. Not on the planet, but in art, I really like white space, right? I know that if I flick this now, because there's so much water here, that my little droplets will not end up droplets anymore. They'll just end up little brown spots. So I'm going to come back with cheddar, and I'm going to add some of this. Remember, this is going to be an opposite here. So I'm putting it on thick instead of thin, because otherwise I'm in big brown territory. So by adding cheddar, I'm also adding a contrast there. And, then I've got a color scheme that I know I like and that I know works, right? And so I really do think would be helpful to, I'd love to see how you fix the page to the left. Sure. Basically, it needs focus, right? La, 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 la. Let me dig through my tags. Hold on. So what I would do if this is just overwhelming and big, I want to reduce your vision to instead of looking at it as a whole, to looking at only part of it. And a great way to do that is with collage. And so I'm going to, what I'm looking for is I want to find a tag in my opposite color, or or something that has a big footprint. Because if I put something with a little footprint on there, it's going to be, I mean, it's going to be fine, but it's going to be overwhelmed by the volume of paint that's in the background. So now, if I've got a big background like that, I need a big footprint. So, yes, baby. This is out of the Collage Collective. Cheddar and Fuchsia are almost, well, Cheddar is, the thing is Fuchsia has a lot of blue in it and Cheddar has a lot of orange in it. And so they're not completely opposite, but they're getting opposite. They're quite a few bumps on the color wheel, right? So like here we have Fuchsia, right? Cheddar's way over here. So we've gone a lot of pie wedges away. So anytime you go quite a few pie wedges away, you're going to get some contrast. It won't be exactly opposite, but you'll get, it's called a near complement. You'll have almost complements, right? I like that on there. What do you guys think? Heck yeah. Oop, wrong glue. So by putting this on, what I'm doing is reducing the size of that color field in the background and making sure that you focus on this focal point area. And because it's a contrasting color, that is also helping you draw the eye, right? And then I would probably put on a stamped image or a Collage Collective image or whatever your favorite little methods are for creating focal points. We have talked about focal points in previous videos, so you can check that out, find that, and practice that as well. And yes, I've got this weird white stripe up there, right? But what I will do is I'm gonna repeat some of this color here up here, but in a different format. I think I'm just gonna speckle it. So I'm speckling with lemon because yellow and purple are opposite. Down there it's still too wet, so it's gonna just dissolve, but oh well. And then that also helps tie it. So I'm just trying to narrow your focus down. And if this still isn't standing out enough, you can do it, I call it putting an aura. I've done painted faces a bunch of times and drawing faces as well. Hold up the glue medium you're using. Ultra thick gel. Dina Wakley Ultra Thick. Okay. And then text or handwriting or, you know, however you like to finish your page is always a good idea. That was cut from the Collage Collective, right? Stenciling. I mean, all those mixed media tricks that you know how to do, you can do on... So Sue says, I thought it'd be fun to see her draw a face on the pages she's working on. Okay. Your wish is my command, darling. It's a really short chin, huh? what I would do, because some of her features are disappearing in the background, is I would get my white paint or a light color out, and I would make sure, I'm just going to use carnation because I don't see white immediately. I'm going to give them a highlight. I'm going to make sure they stand out. My kitties are really glad the big boys are home. They have been in cuddle heaven. It's kind of hilarious. More warm bodies, more laps to snuggle with. The wonderful thing about the kind of cats I have, they're a breed called a ragamuffin. We originally got them to be kind of therapy animals for those of us in the family that were suffering from depression. And I am a terrible wife because I got the animals and my husband was really against having pets. And then I said to him, wouldn't you do anything to save our son? I'm good. I'm really good, right? Yeah, you could have stamped a face on that. Yep. And any way you want to put a focal point on this, you can put a focal point on it, right? So I think her chin is so short. So what I would do to fix that is wipe it off. Anyway, so we got the animal, the kitties, and the reason you know why that won't wipe off? No gesso. If I had gesso, that would come off. So the kitties, this breed of cat, they're very puppy-like. And so they have been so dead fun because they really do love their people. They follow you around. Oh gosh, they're so stinking fun. I know a lot of cats do that too, not just mine, but I needed a guaranteed win, you know? And boy, we've just, and then, you know, I was in a really bad depression. I was teaching in Australia and was struggling, not with class. People in Australia are awesome because, you know, I want to move there, but I mean, just personally. And so I came home and I said to my husband, I did the bad thing. And he goes, do we have another cat? I said, yes, we do. Oh, bless him. So I'm just delightful to be married to. Poor husband. He is a patient soul, I will say. I've bought 2 vehicles without telling him first too. That was delightful. Delightful. But so if drawing's not your thing, you can collage, you can stamp. Remember, I don't love to stamp directly on backgrounds because the bumpiness can make the stamping imperfect. So I would stamp on cardstock and either layer it in or stamp on tissue and glue it in, right? That's just what I would do. I don't love to stamp directly on a background because, especially my journal pages, they're so incredibly textured that it makes it really difficult to get a nice, great image directly on the page. Just try it, you'll see. And then you'll go find your tissue and you'll stamp on your collage tissue and layer it in. If you have Tim Holtz tissue wrap, I don't know if is that still available? I bet it is. Plain. He has cool collage tissues too. Tissue wrap is great for stamping. My collage tissue. Deli paper, not so great just because of the waxy side, but if that's what you have, use it, girls and boys. Let's scribble stick that. You know what, Raina? I'm going to scribble stick it. Oh, I didn't use all of it, but I'm going to scribble stick it with small. His plain one's being discontinued, he said the other day. You guys better hoard it. The black pencils, a Stabilo is the brand, and the type of pencil is called an all, A-L-L, because Stabilo makes many different kinds of pencils. So this one's an all because it writes on anything. It's technically not really a sketching pencil, but it's what we all use because it writes on acrylic paint, which is plastic. Let's speckle it. I feel like this needs white speckle. The pox, the pox. Okay, that makes sense, my friends. I would love it if you do the little tag exercise that we talked about at the beginning. Be sure to post them in Dina Wakely Media Tribe. Also, be sure to hashtag Dina Wakely Media. Remember, my name is spelled W-A-K-L-E-Y. Hashtag Ranger Ink, I-N-K. And if you have my collage tissue, remember, if you go to the white tissue demo that we did on Friday, remember you can stamp on my white tissue as well. My white on white and all that good stuff. So as a reminder, right after this one saves, I'm going to do another little live about the artist journey and take you through some of the artist journey I've been on since I started art journaling in 2004. Okay? Oh, thank you. I already lost the color wheel again. Crap. It's got to be on the table now though, right? It'll be here somewhere. Oh, I found it. All right, yes, I'm going to repin. How long will your paint last unopened? Marcy, it just depends. Should be a couple of years, but paint will go bad, so use your paint. Use it. Okay. Good to have you guys, and as soon as this saves and reposts, I will start again talking about the artist journey, and I'm going to show you, thank you, Michelle, I'm going to show you some of my early journals. Like the very first journal I ever did, I will show you. Okay, I love that you guys are parenting me. It makes me happy. Okay, talk to you again in a minute.